right, it looks like I have 2 people already. Just let me know, is it the connection good? Can you hear me well? Can you see me well? So I can start talking. And if you introduce yourself, even better to know with who I'm talking with. Wonderful. It is Sunday, 26th of February, 8 o'clock in the evening, East European time. And the topic is going to be Forever Battle. Ilkut, hello my friend, how are you doing? Nice to see you here. So this time you found the stream. Good. Good. Seems good, sounds good, excellent. I'm glad that this time you managed to find the link and you're here on time. We're going to discuss the topic Forever Battle between hard panniers and soft luggage. Partly we discussed this topic with you in Istanbul, but we're gonna continue now. Oh, yes, this time you did it. I'm glad that you did it. All right. Richard, greetings. I have my favorite drink. Yeah, Richard, you're here again. Excellent. So the topic is interesting. I think that you know my opinion on this subject, but even so, I will try to be as honest as possible and discuss the topic with all the details that I know. So I'm not gonna be some kind of biasing opinion about soft luggage. We're gonna see all the pros and cons. Matthias, hi. You found the link as well. Wonderful. So I'm glad that everybody found the link. I hope that many people will come. Ilkut, you already know I was in Istanbul for a weekend, a few days, but just come back today actually at 4 p.m. Just got time to take a shower, shave myself, prepare everything here and start this stream because I promised that I'm gonna do it. So I'm back safe in one piece. It was really nice to meet Ilkut and many more guys in Istanbul. I've got this wonderful gift from one guy over there. Pocket knife, really interesting. It is handmade, beautiful design. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera. I really like it. Yeah, wonderful. I'll take it with me on my next trip. Anyway, Turkey is great. Turkish people are fantastic. Food is excellent. I eat much more than I have to. So in the next few days, I'm gonna restrict myself a little bit. Otherwise, my riding clothes are not going to match anymore. Anyway, I hope that after we finish the talk, you're gonna have many questions on this subject so we can discuss even more deep the topic of the luggage and eventually help many more people that will watch the stream later, or maybe they will be here in the discussion and just follow the comments. But yes, I hope that we all together will make this stream interesting and will provide enough information for those who are going to watch it after that. So in my opinion, if we help each other, it will be much better than to hate each other. But anyway, who am I to talk? All right, let's start. Now we have 3 people. Let's start with you. And then if someone else comes, he can always check the comments or check the recorded version after that. So I guess that you expected from me to tell you that soft luggage is always better. Well, in my opinion, it is, but it is only my opinion. And if you ask 10 people, you're gonna receive probably 10 different opinions. And what is interesting that they all will be right. So everyone believes that he or she is right until someone prove it wrong, right? So it is easy to say that soft luggage is better. Easy to say, I can say this. But what about if you travel with a passenger, if you have a lot of luggage, you don't really have possibility to have everything in the one saddlebag as I have at the moment, or even two saddlebags. So that's why it's so different for everyone, and you shouldn't listen anyone, even me, on this subject. You have to make your research, you have to make your experiments and find what works for you. Because what works for one might be disaster for another. I can tell you straight away that the bag that I've got, this horseshoe bag that I've got, saddle bag, is the best bag that I ever had. I don't want anything else. But you have to consider that I travel alone with minimum luggage. And on my trips, I usually include here and there, maybe connections, some dirt roads. So I prefer to stay as light as possible. And I never worry about the things that I've got in my saddlebag, because they are not expensive. Inside usually it's my tent, my mattress, sleeping bag, a few tools and clothes. That's it. I do not have any expensive gear inside of my saddlebag. But if your case is different, you definitely need to make your research and find all pros and cons. So usually I start this type of conversation, especially about the luggage, with the pros and cons of each one of the options. But now I'm gonna do it a little bit different. I'm gonna tell you all the pros and cons as far as I know, but a little bit later. First, I will give you a different point of view or a different perspective that might help you to find the best option for you. All right, we have 4 people already. 4th person, please introduce yourself in the comments to know who you are. And at the end of the stream, I'm gonna give you enough time to have your questions. So if you have something in mind, please don't forget it. If you want, make a note. I have a list here to make a notes. You know, they say that clever people always make notes. Stupid people try to remember everything. So if you have any questions, specific questions that we are not going to discuss today, make your notes. And at the end of the stream, I will give you more than enough time to ask your questions and eventually me to reply you. Because now I noticed in the last few streams, when I try to reply the questions exactly on the time, Mike Nonon, Mike from Ireland. Hello, Mike. Nice to see you here. So when I try to reply the comments at the same time, it's somehow breaking my speech, and I used to forget some things, and I prefer to finish with everything that I plan to tell you. I have a list here, so I don't want to forget anything. And after that, we're gonna have this Q&A, and I hope then will be beneficial for everyone. All right, so as I said, I'm not gonna start with pros and cons. I'm gonna tell you a different approach. Because there is no one universal advice or universal option that will work for everyone. As I said, saddlebag, soft luggage, perfect for me, but I travel alone with minimum luggage. If you have your wife, for example, as a passenger, then you know that most important for me is this, most important for your wife is 2 big suitcases. So there is a big difference, and it is obvious that my bag is not going to work for you. On the other hand, if you prefer to have your hard panniers with top box and they are perfect for you, they're not perfect for me. That's why I'm gonna give you some important moments, or I will point you some questions that you can ask yourself, and based on the answers that you're gonna have, honest answers from yourself, you will learn or you will know how to choose the proper luggage system for you. Because there is no right or wrong luggage systems. They all work somehow with the pros and cons. All right, the first question that I would like to ask yourself is what kind of motorcycle you have, what type of motorcycle you have. Because let me give you a few examples. If you have BMW GS 1200 or 1250, even GS 800, It is visually a big bike, tall bike, fat bike, and it is very well made with a strong subframe, and hard panniers will suit well on it, if you understand what I mean. If you look at from the side, if you look at from the back, front, usually these motorcycles are ridden with hard panniers. So these hard panniers match to BMW style motorcycles or any big adventure or travel motorcycle that is suitable for hard panniers. But if you take, for example, my Tenere 700, and put hard panniers on it, they have this option, by the way, in Yamaha. Original hard panniers with luggage rack and even top box. And then if you go around this motorcycle and just see it, how ugly it becomes, it is just unbelievable how some people decided to put these hard panniers on this very slim bike. It's a slim and tall bike. It is in many ways orientated to, it's not dirt bike. It is obvious that it is not dirt bike because it is very heavy, but it is orientated to some kind of gravel roads or dirt roads or adventure roads, if you want to say. And that's why it is made very slim, very gentle bike. And then when you put these big hard panniers, they make it like 3 times wider, and it's completely destroy the whole aerodynamic or the shape of the bike. It does not match at all. Just make this experiment. Open pictures in Google and see Tenere 700 with hard panniers, and then see BMW GS 1200 with hard panniers, and just put it one next to another, and you'll see what I'm talking about. On the GS, they are fine because it is heavy bike, it is fat bike, and they stay well. But on this Tenere, it's ridiculous. It's like to have a very skinny person, like 50 kilograms, and to put very hard or very big, huge backpack on his back. It's just nonsense for me. This is the first point, to know what kind of motorcycle you have, and based on it, you can decide what is for you. So I gave you already the example. My Tenere is too slim, too narrow, too light, or too much dirt orientated to have hard panniers. So for me, the choice will be always soft luggage. For me. For you, might be different. This was the first question to ask yourself, what motorcycle you have, and based on the answer to decide what luggage to have. The second question that I would like to ask yourself is what type of trips you plan to make, on or off-road. And again, if you give yourself an honest answer, let's say, well, I do not plan any dirt roads. I travel usually around Europe, around Alps, or around beautiful roads, and I am not worried at all about the weight. Then hard panniers are not a problem at all. But on the other hand, if you plan some adventure trips, dirt roads here and there, some technical tracks, or many more different situations like that, it will become obvious that hard panniers are not going to be an option for you. It is that simple, and I don't know why people don't see it. They tend to believe to everyone that they can see, or on YouTube or even on the street, without even a single proof that this system works for him. Just because someone tells you, this is the best, you don't need anything else. It is not true. So if you answer honestly this question, what kind of trips you plan to make, the answer will be very, very easy for you, or the decision will be very easy for you. If you plan to stay only on the road, if you plan to see many attractions, usually to leaving your motorcycles for many hours on the street, then go for hard panniers. But if you plan a lot of dirt roads, if you never leave your motorcycle unattended, like me, I never really leave the motorcycle for such a long time without anyone seeing it. That's why I never worry about the safety of my luggage. But we're gonna come to this a little bit later. So the second question, what type of motorcycle? The first question, what type of motorcycle you have, And the second question, what kind of trips you are going to make. And now you can stop me here and say, Pavlin, I don't know. Now I plan to make only trips around Europe, but later I might decide to go and make some dirt roads. All right, but if you invest now a good amount of money in hard panniers and luggage racks, because they're not cheap in any way, and later you decided to go on the dirt roads, this will be only money for nothing or dead weight that will stop you or will limit your future dirt road trips. Ilkut. Last year I made 3,700 kilometers to Georgia with semi-soft bags on Givi on my Honda X. Yes, you told me. Winter resistance was too much and couldn't ride more than 140 kilometers, and the fuel consumption increased about 20%. Absolutely, I know all of this, and we're gonna discuss it a little bit later on this topic. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. We're gonna discuss all of these negative sides of the hard panniers, or even the saddlebags got the same effect as you mentioned with saddlebags, as when they stay on the side of the bike, when they extend or make a different profile of your motorcycle, the fuel consumption will be always bigger. But anyway, so what I was talking is that if you invest in this hard pannier, but you're not gonna use it after that, it is just not worth it. If you just spend a little bit more minutes or days or months in advance and decide what exactly you need. You can always try with the cheaper options. You can always buy one duffel bag for $20-30, load your luggage inside and go to ride on first few trips, and you will understand what you need. Do you need something else, or you can continue riding like this instead of buying your motorcycle and taking the hype of everyone else, go and buy hard panniers, top box, everything, just to realize that you're not going to need them that much. Anyway, the second question that you have to ask yourself, how you gonna ride, alone or with passenger? I already partly mentioned this just a few minutes ago, that I'm traveling alone. For me it's fine, but if you travel with your wife or whatever passenger you have to think a little bit more in advance where all the luggage will go. So usually in this situation people got hard panniers and top box just to have the luggage. What is usually happens is one of the hard panniers is for the rider, the second is for the passenger. On the top box they have a mixture things, whatever works. But again, I'm not saying that is completely impossible to have a passenger with soft luggage. No, absolutely. Minimalist, it's always work. A minimalistic approach always works. It doesn't matter how many people you are. But what I'm saying is that you have to know yourself, and based on your needs to decide what kind of luggage to have. Okay, the question number 3 was passenger or alone. The question number 4. What kind of gear you have? This is very important. So, do you carry expensive camera gear, or you have just the normal travel luggage? Because if you carry expensive cameras, lenses, or any kind of filming equipment that need to be protected well, for that purpose you're gonna need a special case. Usually they sell these Pelican cases, I think they were nice, with a very durable plastic with a foam inside, designed to protect your camera gear and your lens very well. It is obvious that in this situation, if you plan to film something and you're gonna have a lot of miles with expensive gear, then it doesn't matter do you like it or not, but you have to go for some kind hard options. Otherwise your gear might be, you might break it. So in this case, again, it depends of that what you plan. If you ask this question yourself, then you're gonna have the answer. The next question is going to be how long the trip will be. In my opinion, it doesn't matter how long the trip will be, the luggage is always the same. But that is me, and as you know, I love this minimalistic approach. But some people tend to take a lot of luggage when they plan a long trip and not so much luggage for the short trips. So if you plan, let's say, 2 months trip, and you know that in these 2 months you're gonna need a lot of stuff, even though you don't need it, but you might need it, then might be a good option for you to think for another solution, like hard panniers to collect more luggage, than a simple saddlebags. But again, it is depend on you. And the next question, number 6, it is the last, but it is not less important. What is the load capacity of your motorcycle? This is very important question that you have to ask in advance, because on my itinerary, I'm not sure how much it was, but I think it was something like 190 kilograms altogether. So I am 110 kilograms with the gear. That means I cannot have more than 80 kilograms on the top of my motorcycle. It's not that I cannot have, but it is not recommended. It will be overloaded. That's why it's good to see this in advance, to read it in your manual, and to know what you can afford. Because as we discussed, if you travel with passenger, your passenger will weigh at least 50 kilograms if you're lucky to have a slim passenger. But then the hard panniers and the luggage rack, because they weight even empty. In the best scenario, the hard panniers with the luggage rack, in the best scenario, they will weigh no less than 12 to 15 kilograms empty. On the top of these kilograms, you will load all the stuff that you have. And if your passenger is a little bit more heavy, if the luggage is too much, and if your loading capacity is not that much, you will finish in one not so well direction. You will overload your motorcycle, and as you can guess, this might be very dangerous on the road, especially if the road conditions are not perfect. Let's say rain, maybe snow or ice or black ice or mud, whatever. But when the conditions are not perfect, this situation could be very dangerous, even fatal. So that's why it's very good to check this in advance and to know exactly what you're taking. And please don't overestimate your skills, don't overestimate your luck, because you never know what is going to happen. On the long trips, you have no idea what is going to happen. They might go just like that, smooth like a butter, but they might be like this all the time, and all of the extra weight that you're gonna have will not going to be in your favor. Or my favorite phrase, weight always matters. All right, based on the answers that you're gonna give to yourself, it should be easy to choose the proper system for your motorcycle. I hope that everything is clear so far. Okay, let me stop here for a few minutes and give you the chance. If you have any questions until this moment, you can ask me now, so we can continue with the topic. Richard: my good lady and I use panniers, small and really important. They are no wider than handlebar on my own back. Absolutely, I forgot to mention this. If you decided to go with hard panniers, make sure that they are not wider than your handlebar. Thank you very much for adding this, Richard. This is very important, because I have seen friends of mine who underestimate or actually judge wrongly and try to go between the cars and scratch the car and remove one of his panniers because he did not judge properly. So when your handlebar, when you have the same size as your handlebar and your handlebar goes between the cars, that means that the panniers will go as well. Thank you very much. This was very important. I honestly forgot about this. Yes, make sure that it is wide as your handlebar to know your gabarites or your sizes. Ilkut: for me, the only problem with dry back was higher center of gravity. Yes, with dry back, you will definitely have a higher center of gravity, but as we discussed when I was in Istanbul, you can easily change this if you buy saddlebags on the side, soft saddlebags, or horseshoe bag like me. Then you can have the heaviest part of your luggage stay on the bottom, and on the top almost nothing. For example, on my horseshoe bag, on both sides I've got my tents, my tools and everything. On the top I have a small bag with a few clothes that are not heavy than 2 kilograms, I will say, and it stay on the seat. So it's always important to split the luggage properly, and we're gonna discuss this a little bit later on the stream. But yeah, thank you very much for sharing your experience, Ilkut. Thank you. Richard, Tenerife Traveler, does anyone have experience of panniers over the fuel tank? To be honest, I've seen a few pictures with people who got panniers on the front side of the motorcycle, actually hung on the crash guards. But what do you mean panniers over the fuel tank? Maybe like saddlebags on the top of the fuel tank? I haven't seen this. If anyone got any experience, will be nice to share it here so we can learn from him. Tank bags. Yeah, I also think about tank bags. I've seen these options a few times, and I'm gonna discuss this a little bit later. Let me write it here. Bags on the tank. And I'll tell you what I think about it. One small bag either side. Yeah, I've seen this many times on the crash guards. In fact, many people having crash guards with a few purposes. First, of course, is to protect the engine. Second is to hang auxiliary lights. And the third is to have additional bags on the crash guards, like saddle bags. With wipe out small weight at the front. Okay. In my opinion, it's always better to try to limit your luggage instead of trying to find another place to have more luggage. But it might be beneficial if you have a saddlebags on your crash guards or on your tank, to split the weight or to make the weight distribution a little bit better. Because if you have all of your weight on the rear side where the hard panniers are, or even more further back when you use a top box, this actually put all of the weight, or you move the whole center of gravity from your engine. Usually when you have the motorcycle staying like this without any luggage, the center of gravity or the center of mass is somewhere under your engine. But when you have so much luggage on the rear side, the center of gravity moves to the direction to the rear axle, and this is not very good for your handling. So if you have less luggage over there and move some of the luggage or split some of the luggage and have it on your crash guards, might be even beneficial. But again, my advice will be always to try to limit the luggage instead of find another place where to hang more bags that might cause more problems. And in many situations, again, it depends on that where you're going to travel, the questions that I asked earlier. Because if you have too much luggage going on the front part of the motorcycle, does mean your front wheel is going to be too heavy. And if you plan some kind of dirt roads, maybe sand or mud, heavy front is not going to help you at all. It will be the other way around. It will make you problems. So you have to be able to keep the front light if you ride in those conditions. And if your motorcycle is too heavy, you wouldn't be able to make it, if you understand what I mean. Ilkut, crash bar bags increase turbulence and risk of tank slapping and experiences. I can agree with this as well. Yeah, anything you put on the bike that is not designed from the manufacturer will somehow destroy the way your motorcycle is handling everything. Or if you imagine a wind tunnel, the designers of your motorcycle, it doesn't matter what brand you have or what model you have, they spend a lot of time to create this unique machine. They play with the weight, with the power, and they play with all of these wind tunnels to make this perfect machine, to have this aerodynamics and acoustics, to use the maximum from the engine and to have the minimum from the wind and to provide the necessary power and horsepower and everything to be ridden in any kind of road conditions. But when we come, the owner of the motorcycle, and start adding all of this stuff, we completely destroy everything that they have created with so much work and so many hours and so much money. It's like to say to the designers of beautiful Japanese sports bike, to say to them, well, you know what, you don't understand anything. On this Honda CBR 1000, I'm gonna have hard panniers and it will be the same motorcycle. It is not going to be the same motorcycle. Yeah, it's a little bit overhyped now from me, a little bit more accelerated, but somehow, as Ilkut mentioned, anyhow, it will have a different turbulence and you might experience a different type of handling while you have all of this stuff on it. I hope that it makes sense now. Thanks for adding this, Ilkut. All right, no, I told you now about all the questions that you have to ask yourself, and let's now discuss what are the pros and cons of each one of the options, hard panniers and soft luggage. As I promised at the beginning, we're gonna do it as well. All right, the pros of the hard panniers, the first that everyone is hooked and everyone buy this type of luggage on the first place, is that you can lock it. You can lock hard panniers and you don't need to worry about your luggage, about your stuff when you are walking around, drinking coffee, eating or watching attractions. Partly it's like that, but only if you don't leave your motorcycle in the middle of nowhere. If your motorcycle is parked in front of busy restaurant, coffee shop, surveillance cameras or something like that, and you lock it, yeah, you'll be fine. But as I said before, everything you say before but is shit. Everything you say after but is what really matters. So if you leave your motorcycle under the cameras, under whatever situations I already mentioned, it will be the same if you have soft luggage. No one will even touch it. So yes, you can lock your motorcycle, but what? If you leave it on the empty street, your locks are not going to help you at all, because I'm sure that you have seen these locks. They are very simple and they can be easily braked with anything, even a simple screwdriver. Struck, and that's it. Your panel is open and the guy will take everything that you have inside. But because of the locks, many people tend to leave their stuff inside believing that they are safe. So the locks will give you this false sensations that you're safe. Just because of the locks, you can have your telephone, your wallet, whatever you want inside, or expensive camera gear, because I have the locks. But even on the busy street, if someone wants to open your panniers, people won't even notice it. That fast is going to be struck and that's it. And they will be like owners, open and take everything. So the locks are nothing more than, as I said, false security. Pros number one, false security. Second, they are waterproof. This is another reason why people buy usually these hard panniers, because they are waterproof. Depends on the panniers. Some of the panniers might be waterproof, but I've seen terrible panniers that after half an hour of rain, they've got like 20 centimeters water inside. Depends on the design. They might be, but it is not necessary. The third pro against the soft luggage is that they look good. I already started the video with this topic. For some motorcycles, they might look good and some people love it. I personally hate it, but this is my opinion. I don't want everyone to think about me. But I cannot see any beauty in hard panniers. Usually, exactly what I told you just a minute ago, the designer spent so much money and efforts to make a beautiful bike, and there is no person on the world to convince me that when you put a hard panniers, it will be even better. End of the story. But my opinion, some people love it. For example, a friend of mine recently bought a GS 1200, and of course he bought hard panniers, and he uses it all the time, even around the town. He never take it out from the motorcycle without any luggage, because he just love it, how it looks like with hard panniers and top box. Fair enough. If you love this how your motorcycle looks like with all of this stuff, fair enough, look good. The fourth pro is that you can have more luggage. It is true. Again, this depends on the model, because some panniers are not really well designed. Especially I have seen this, I forgot the names now, the brands, but plastic panniers that are usually not very wide, and they're open not from the top. They don't have the cover on the top. They just open like this, like a normal suitcase, and you can't really have much inside. They sell it for something like 35-40 liters, but in reality you cannot have more than 20 liters inside. Even with a simple saddlebags for 50 euros, you're gonna have more luggage, because saddlebags, they can depend on the shape. If the things that you put inside are a little bit more wider, with the saddlebags, they move, so you can have a wider stuff. But with these plastic cases, you should have exactly what the size is, and it is not much. So yes, you might be able to have more luggage in your hard panniers, but depends on the panniers. So these plastics that are open like this are the most uglier and most unpractical that I have seen. And just to mention something, that the only motorcycles that look good, in my opinion, with panniers are the motorcycles that are designed with the panniers from the beginning. Like BMW 1600, it comes with this plastic panniers. Triumph Trophy and few more brands, they look good because they are designed with the panniers, with the idea of the panniers in the beginning. When the designers make everything, they plant it. They've got big top box, they've got these panniers, they're designed well. But even though these panniers are not very big and you cannot have much inside, because the designers already knew that if you have too big panniers, you're gonna put a lot of weight, and this will destroy the whole weight distribution theory that I mentioned a few minutes earlier. Anyway, so you can put one of the pros, you can have more luggage, depends on the model, but we're gonna discuss this later. And the fifth that I have heard a few times is that in the case of accident, they might help you. And many people will swear that if they drop the bike on the side, on the dirt roads, or even on the asphalt roads during the crash accident, the panniers might help them, because they work like a crash guard. So the motorcycle actually lie on the panniers, and it's not going completely down, and might protect your legs or your passenger leg. Okay, I will agree. It might help. It might help. Especially on low speed or on the dirt roads, might help, but also might be the other way around. So if you have an accident on speed and you have a passenger or even yourself, and you have this very heavy pannier, and if you have a front accident like this, where the pannier will go? It will go direction to you, to your legs, and the locks that it has, or the handles, are not going to be strong enough, and this pannier will be like a bullet over your legs. This is my opinion. So yes, it might help, but also might give more harm than help, in my opinion. And let me now improvise something. Again, I'm gonna discuss all of these pros that I just mentioned, but from my point of view. This will be like a little theater to tell you. The first was that you can lock it, and I already told you. My opinion, easy to break it even with a screwdriver. The second was they are waterproof. I told you my opinion, depends. Look good, in my opinion, terrible. You can have more luggage. For me, this is a big con, this is not a pro. They might help during an accident, true, but also might harm, as I already told you. So all the pros that I just mentioned for hard panniers are easy to convert to a cons if you're biased like me, if you have your own opinion, if you understand what I mean. All right, let's now discuss what are the cons of the hard panniers. Don't worry, after we finish with the hard panniers, we're gonna go to the soft luggage and we're gonna have the same discussion as well. Matthias, it is true I can put more in my 50-liter soft bag than in two 35-liter shut hard panniers. Very well, thanks for sharing, Matthias. Yes, I have seen this with my own eyes, but it's good someone else to confirm it, because as I said, people might say, yeah, he's blasted, he always think about soft luggage, he's not correct, he's not honest, but when someone else mention it, it's good. Thank you very much. So let's see now the cons of the hard panniers. First, they are expensive. When I bought my old Tenere, I bought it on 11,000 kilometers, and it was equipped with hard panniers, the original Yamaha hard panniers with very small luggage racks. And of course, I didn't want this panniers, and I removed it immediately with the luggage racks and said, well, what I'm gonna do with these bullshits now? I might try to sell it, but who is going to buy it? So I made a few pictures and uploaded on Amazon, and I sold it for 1 day. On the next day, one person came and just took it for 600 euros. 600 euros for second-hand panniers. I couldn't believe how much money they cost second-hand. So these things are very expensive. So if you have especially expensive motorcycle like GS 1200, and you want to have this original or the BMW hard panniers and top box, you have to be ready for a price over 1,000 euros. Panniers and top box. Very expensive. Ridiculous price, as I said. Even if you try to find some aftermarket solutions, there will be at least 400 to 500 euros for a good set of hard panniers with the luggage rack. You can't find it cheaper. You just cannot. A few cheap options like the plastic options that we discussed earlier, but they really don't. They just does not worth the money and all the efforts that you're gonna have for such a small volume of liters inside. So they're expensive. The first con. The second con is that they are heavy. They are heavy. They're made from metal, and the luggage rack as well. So in the best scenario, as I said earlier, the best scenario, hard panniers with the luggage rack will be around 15 kilograms, 12 to 15 kilograms before you even put your luggage inside. And it doesn't matter how much you love them or how hard you want to have this nice, beautiful bike with hard panniers, you're gonna have this weight as well. So they will come with the weight, and if the weight is not a problem for you, fine. Then you need additional racks. I discussed the racks a few times, but you cannot have just the panniers. You always need the racks. And the racks need to be mounted somewhere around the bike. So even if you decided to leave your panniers at home, the racks will be always on the bike. And they also cost money. If you're lucky to buy the racks and the panniers for the good price, okay. But usually you'll pay 600 euros for panniers and more 150 for the racks. This is how the prices are going. The next number 4 is that you cannot mount them on every bike. For example, if you just bought panniers for your Triumph Tiger now, and you mount it, design it well, you love it so much, you travel so much with your Triumph and you enjoy everything, and you're happy with these panniers, but then you decided to buy Yamaha Super Tenere. And the racks that you got and the panniers that you have racks definitely not gonna match, but the panniers might be also not suitable for the model that you have. For example, BMW, they usually sell these asymmetrical panniers. One of the panniers is a different shape because of the exhaust, but if your motorcycle is with different exhaust, you can't use this. So you might need to spend like 1,000 euros or a little bit more for panniers, and then after 2 years decided to sell this motorcycle and buy another, and you have to sell it with the panniers. And I have seen more than enough of my friends selling their bikes with everything, even though they cannot take the money from this stuff. The last example was a guy with KTM with plastic panniers. And he said, I paid for these panniers, this and this amount of money. I said, you paid for these panniers, but now when you sell your motorcycle, no one is going to pay more just because of the panniers. Better is just reduce the price and sell it as it is. So you're gonna spend a lot of money in advance, but later when you sell your motorcycle, you're not gonna get this money back, and you won't be able to use these panniers on your next motorcycle unless you buy the same model, which is different story. The next, petrol consumption. We already mentioned it earlier. Ilkut mentioned this, I guess. So with hard panniers, you will have minimum, I say minimum because it depends on the panniers, 1 liter more per every 100 kilometers. Believe it or not, this is the reality. In most of the cases, will be 1.5 liters more because the hard panniers became like a big seal, stopping the wind, and your motorcycle will use definitely more petrol. And when you combine this 1.5 liters or 1 liter more every day on every 100 kilometers, when you have a trip, let's say 20,000 kilometers, a really long trip, even if you don't have a long trip, many trips, when you calculate the kilometers, you'll realize that every 20,000 kilometers you're wasting like 500, 600 euros just because of your hard panniers. The motorcycle will use more petrol. And because of the weight, it's not only petrol, it is also the tires and anything else. It's wearing faster, but this is another story, maybe topic for another stream. The next con, 6, possible overloading. I already mentioned this as well, but when you have hard panniers, you will tend to overload your motorcycle because you will say, yeah, it's okay, the subframe is very strong, the luggage racks are very strong, and the panniers are good 4mm aluminum, I can have a lot of weight. You can put a lot of weight on it. And I've seen people have a lot of luggage in the panniers. Then when they close the panniers, they have bags on the top of the panniers, and then have another box on the top of the box. And then it's the same with the top box and a bag on the top of the top box. This is just unbelievable. Let me tell you one real story. I was in Pakistan, riding around Pakistan, and then I saw an Austrian couple with Suzuki V-Strom 1000. But they were so heavy, so heavy. They've got maybe the biggest, the widest top box that I ever seen. It was like probably like 50 centimeter wide and 40 centimeter width like this, huge like this, and big hard panniers, metal panniers, very big size, probably around at least 40 centimeters. On the top of the panniers, they've got bags. On the top of the bags, small bags. And there were 2 people. And when this guy stopped next to me, he couldn't park the motorcycle. And his passenger, his wife actually, jumped from the bike, and she needed to support him when he was making maneuvers to park the motorcycle. And when he parked the motorcycle, he couldn't use the side stand because the side stand was broken because of the weight of the motorcycle a few days before that. So he needed to support the motorcycle, she needed to support the motorcycle, and they both together need a lot of attempts, even my help, to have a motorcycle on the center stand. And I said to him, do you see the problem? And he said, yes, we're overloaded. We'll never do it again. Most of the stuff, we never use it. Even though they were on around almost like a 6-month trip around Asian countries, most of the stuff, they never use it. So yes, it is easy to overload your motorcycle if you have hard panniers. The next one. The next I already mentioned partly in the beginning of the video, that you will move the center of gravity from under your engine to the rear axle, and this will destroy the whole balance of the motorcycle. So your front will become lighter. It is not that light that you'll lift the front, but it will be noticeable lighter. I'm sure that everyone who already rode a motorcycle with hard panniers, especially with top box, already noticed the difference when the motorcycle is overloaded. It behaves strange. It became like a big elephant and move, especially if the road surface is not so good. If you have potholes or some kind of jumps, it is so noticeable, so noticeable. So yeah, absolutely, you will destroy the whole balance of the bike, and all of this engineers and designers, if they know what are you doing, they will go like this: what are you doing? We spent a lot of time to design this motorcycle, so please don't do it. Anyway, top one extra bonus is that the top boxes are the worst, especially when they have this the end of the motorcycle, the tail of the motorcycle usually finish like this. And the top box owners, they love to make a big plate on the top, which will be wider than the tail of the motorcycle, wider like this and taller like this. So they will extend it even more to have a bigger top box. And this is just a ridiculous way to destroy the weight distribution of your motorcycle. Don't do it, please. All right, any questions so far on the topic of the hard panniers? We discussed all the pros and the cons. I told you what to look for. And before we move to the soft luggage and discuss the pros and the cons of the soft luggage, I will give you just a few minutes. If you have any questions, you can stop me now and we can discuss it. Please, feel free. I hope that you got the idea so far. But anyway, any questions will be appreciated. As I said before, the questions also will help the other people that will watch the stream after that recorded to see what people ask and to get some information from you guys, not only from me. Tenere Traveler, my hard panniers are 28 liters. They are not made anymore. I can only buy bigger. True. Nowadays, I haven't seen such a small hard panniers. Usually, they are 35, 40, 45. And when I see top box 50 liters or 60 liters, I'm just, please stop it. But it is what it is. Ilkut, I can leave hard panniers, but not top case. Yeah, I know the top case is a preferable choice for many people, but it is what it is. If you like it, if you cannot leave it, use it. But at least buy small. Not that big, not that wide. And I will also understand top box for the city riding. It's understandable. It's maybe the best option for the town. If you ride in the town, in the city, especially you could in Istanbul with your Honda, you definitely need it. But now we discuss mostly for traveling. For traveling, top box, it's alright if you are on the asphalt roads, but on the dirt roads, if it's not really stably made, you might lose it somewhere. Even if you're on the asphalt, if you go to countries with not so good asphalt like Bulgaria, for example, your end will go like this all the time. But if you like it, use it. There is no etalon or shablon that we all need to go this way. Use whatever is good for you. Tenere Travel. Okay. Thank you very much for coming again, Richard. Have a nice time, and we appreciate everything that you have done with your answers and your questions. See you next time. So yes, my riding friend Dima, most of you know Dima, he loves top boxes. He loves top boxes. He's one of the biggest advocates of top boxes. He always got on his motorcycle top box when he's riding around the town. But he never has a top box if he needs to travel with motorcycle, and he knows very well why. So when you travel, your top box, it's not the right tool to have, even if you're on the asphalt. But if you love it, if you cannot live with it, use it. But at least don't overload it. Keep light things, maybe gloves, maybe your scarf or t-shirt or something that you use all the time during the days. So don't overload it. This is at least the minimum that you can do. Because I've seen people have such a heavy stuff in, but if you're not overloaded, it's all right. All right, let's start now with the next, which is soft luggage. I'm gonna start again with the pros, and then we're gonna discuss the cons, and we'll talk on this topic. So the first pro of the soft luggage, it's the price. They're very cheap. As I said, you can easily buy a duffel bag for $20, even cheaper. You might even have one at home, so you don't really need anything. You can even have just a simple backpack that you can tie it with straps on the rear seat, and you'll be all right. Depends on that how much luggage you have. But they're way cheaper than hard panniers. For example, I used one set of saddlebags that I bought for 50 euros. And with these saddlebags, I've done my Central Asia trip, 20,000 kilometers, on any kind of terrains, any kind of conditions. And when I bought these saddlebags, they were not even new. Someone sell it on eBay, I believe, for 50 euros. And then on the next year, I've done all of my trip to Morocco, around 15 to 16, 17,000 kilometers with the same saddlebags, and then they fall apart. But for 50 euros, I've done 2 very long trips, and they survived just fine. So they're very cheap. You can buy it from everywhere. I will agree that depends on the brand, depends on the model. Some of the models like Moto Moscow or whatever brands in Duristan, they might be even expensive than hard panniers. No doubts about it. Some brands got a crazy prices. But these are different type of bags. But the important moment to remember now is that you can start very cheap by ordering cheap saddlebags just to see how you feel with it. Can you have enough luggage? Is it okay for you and your passenger if you have? By the way, if you have a passenger, you don't need to buy hard panniers. You can go with saddlebags. It is the same story. The same story. They will be on the side. They're not gonna stay on the position of your passenger. If you have a duffel bag, for example, it needs to stay on the rear side of the motorcycle or partly on the passenger seat. But if you have saddlebags on the side, it's all right. You can have passenger with saddlebags. So they are very cheap. You can start very cheap and see will it work for you or not. The second very important pro over the hard panniers is that they are light. I think that everyone knows already that. I don't need to tell you anything new. They are lighter because usually saddlebags with all the straps and all the materials that they've got will be maximum in the best, even if they are not from some kind of very thick materials, they'll be like 2-3 kilograms, 5 kilograms maximum. That's it. My bag empty, it's no more than 3 kilograms, I believe. No more, but I think it's even less. So they will be at least 5 times lighter than your hard panniers, and this is a big deal. The next pro is that it is easy to use them without any racks. Some bags, some saddle bags, or some motorcycles, depends on the model, will require to have luggage racks, but not every motorcycle. Also, you can always adjust it to your needs. For example, on my Tenere, I can have saddlebags, normal saddlebags without any luggage racks if I only move them a little bit forward. If I have a passenger and I need to move them as maximum as possible to the rear, then I will need some kind of support, some luggage racks, otherwise they're gonna hit the tire. But if I just move them a little bit forward, they'll be all right. So you can use them on any bike and in many situations without any luggage racks. But for some models, you might need to buy luggage racks. This is also, we can put this on the con side. But you can have it on your GS, you can have it on your Super Tenere, you can have it on your Ducati, you can have it even on your CBR 1000 RR, because they're adjustable with straps and you can have it on every motorcycle. On the other side, with hard panniers, they are specifically made for the model with luggage racks, and you cannot switch from motorcycle to motorcycle. Also, if you have 2 or 3 different types of motorcycles in your garage, you can use one set of saddlebags and just to change it to every motorcycle that you're gonna use at the moment to travel, if that makes sense. The next is the next is that just because they are light and usually it is easy to mount it on the bike, you can easily take it off and have it with you in your hotel. Just put it on your shoulder and go into the hotel. First, because they are not that heavy, and usually because they are with straps, so you just need to untie a few straps and you can have it in the hotel. With the hard panniers, it's a different story. You have to unlock it from your motorcycle, which this usually it's not difficult, but then the hard panniers are heavy, and when you have the luggage inside, they're even more heavy. And even if you're a strong man and you have some kind of holders on your panniers, you can bring it to your hotel, but it will be definitely much easier with soft luggage or with saddlebags. And another number 5 is that a soft luggage, saddlebags, or whatever system you use, duffel bag or whatever, will give you the chance to tighten it if you don't have much luggage on it. For example, my saddlebag that I've got, or any saddlebag, if you have, my saddlebag is for 50 liters, but if I only have 20 liters luggage inside, I can tighten it, the straps, and it will squeeze it, and the size will be much smaller and much more convenient for me to ride. And this will eliminate the need to have the same sizes. But with the hard panniers, you have, let's say, 30 centimeters, and that's it. Even if you put inside only one pencil, it will still be 30 centimeters wide, if you understand what I mean. It will be much lighter, but the same size. With the saddlebags, you can adjust the width and the size of your luggage. All right, let's me now play a similar scenario, but with the soft luggage from the point of view of owner of hard panniers. Let's imagine that I have hard panniers and someone tried to convince me that soft luggage is better. And I will list the same pros that I just mentioned. First, Ilkut. Okay, one piece bag is also better than carrying 2 pieces of bag to the hotel. Absolutely. That's why I told you in Istanbul, the bag that I've got is just 1 piece. If I want to take it, just take it and go to the hotel. If you have 2 panniers and top box, you need 3 hands. Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for adding. So let's play now this game. Let's imagine that I am an owner of hard panniers and maybe you try to convince me that soft luggage is the best. So you can tell me, oh, soft luggage is very cheap. You can have it for $50. And me, like an owner of hard panniers, I can tell you, yeah, they're cheap because they're garbage. That's why they're cheap. And then they're light. And I can tell you, who cares? My motorcycle is 160 horsepower. And I don't mind about 5, 10 or 20 kilos more. I just don't mind. And then easy to use even without any racks. I have no problems with racks. They even work as a crash guard. I love my racks. And then easy to take them in the hotel. I never do it with my panniers. I usually lock it on the car parking and they stay there. I don't need to take it in the hotel. You can tighten them. You can tie them when they're not full. And what? I don't need to tighten my panniers. They are okay. I'm okay with the panniers. I know the size. I know how to ride. If you don't know how to ride, all right. And then depends on the model, but some options like saddlebag, you could be used to any bike anytime. I don't care. I have many bikes and I have a lot of money. I can buy different panniers for every one of my bikes. I play this scenario just to show you that you cannot convince already convinced person. If you already know that hard panniers are the best option for you, even if I make this live stream 10 hours, it's not going to help at all. So the idea is to see the reality, to see the pros and cons, and check it with your trips, your reality, and see what will work for you. Oh, New Zealand. The GS I got did have hard panniers, and on the top shelf I didn't want to hard panniers because of the weight, so the price was reduced. If you are lucky enough to reduce the price, wonderful. If you buy it from the shop, they will definitely reduce the price. But if you buy it from someone, usually people don't want to reduce the price. Even if they reduce the price, this will be their minus. You can buy it in your favor for the same price with panniers as I bought my old Tenere with panniers and sold it later. But yeah, from the shop they might reduce the price for you. All right. So we played the pros. We played the pros from the point of view of a person with a hard panniers. Let's see now what are the cons of the soft luggage. Number one, they don't last much. True, I have to agree with this. Depends on the use, how you use it, where you use it, and how you care about this saddlebag. They will usually last like, in my situation, they last like 2-3 years, 5 years. My last saddlebag that I've got, the same as the one that I have now, this horseshoe, was broken or it fell apart during my accident in Turkey. But before that, I've got it for at least 3 years. So if the saddlebag is made from good quality materials, something like a very thick vinyl or some cordura or whatever materials they use, some durable material, it will last many years if you're careful owner. If you drop it here and there on the ground, if you drop the motorcycle on the ground with your saddlebags, yeah, you might destroy it very fast. They're definitely not that tough as a hard panniers, but it is what it is. It is a simple physics. It's a different type of a material, and it won't last the same as aluminum case. No doubts about it. The second con was that everyone can open it. Yes, absolutely true. Everyone can open it. Simple, just go and open it. Even if you have some kind of pack safe mesh on it, or what I usually do, I twist around my saddlebag the lock that I've got, the cable lock that I've got, so at least someone cannot take it from the bag, but anyone can open it. If they cannot open it, they can easily cut it with knife and take everything from it. This is one of the cons. But as I mentioned earlier, if you think this in advance, if you never leave your motorcycle unattended, if you don't leave it in the middle of nowhere without any people, it's more likely that no one will even touch your motorcycle. Just have this in mind in advance before you park your motorcycle. Just make sure that you know where to park. In one of the next streams, we're going to discuss the topic of security, how to protect your motorcycle. So we can discuss this with more details. You cannot put them. Okay, the next number 3 is that you cannot have heavy items inside. That is also true. I will agree with this con. You cannot have very heavy things or heavy items in your saddlebag. If you have some heavy tools or maybe some gear that you use, they might destroy your saddlebag because of its own weight. But again, in my opinion, all the heavy stuff need to be with your car or at your home. You don't need it when you travel with motorcycle. But if you have some heavy gear or heavy stuff, it will definitely be a problem with saddlebags. You might even, if you have some sharp objects like screwdrivers or some pile or whatever, you might even penetrate the saddlebags and lose your stuff on the road. And number 4 is that they are not waterproof. With this, I have heard this many times, but this is not true. Depends on the bike, on the back. My saddlebag is 100% waterproof. I proved it for many thousands of kilometers on the rain. Nothing goes in. Also, most of the models that you can buy, especially expensive models like Moscow Moto, Enduristan, Giant Loop, or any kind of different bags, they are 100% waterproof, and it doesn't matter how many hours of rain, they will be just fine. If you buy the cheapest options like the one that I told you earlier, 50 euros, they were not waterproof. So all the stuff that I've got inside was in additional waterproof bags inside of the saddlebags. Otherwise, when start rain, everything is in, but depend on the model. All right, now before I continue, I have a few more things to discuss. In the topic will be how to properly distribute the weight with saddlebags and with hard panniers and stuff like that, and how to protect it and so on. But before I continue with this, I will give you just a few minutes. If you have any questions on the topic saddlebags, if you want to ask something or add additional information, please do it so. As I said, this will help others that will watch the stream to get this information for you guys. And then we're gonna continue. As I said, I'm gonna tell you a few more things about the weight distribution, what exactly I do, how to split the weight properly. Assembling and disassembling soft back might take some time, more than side panniers. Depends, I'll agree, depend on the back. My saddle back, it's with 4 straps, 2 on the top and 2 on the side. I can remove it from the bike if I am on hurry for 1 minute. And I can put it back on the bike if I am on hurry for 3 minutes. If this, yeah, I will agree that this might be longer than hard panniers, but then the hard panniers itself will be difficult to move because of the weight. So you might be right. Yes, you might be right, but it's never been an issue for me. Also, when I travel, I split my luggage on, I'm gonna tell you after a few minutes how exactly I split it, but because on the top of my saddlebags are my clothes, my toothbrush, all the things that I need to spend the night somewhere, include my chargers for telephone and cameras. So every time when I have a nice hotel with parking, or I'm camping, or in the place where the motorcycle is safe, I do not even remove my saddlebag. I just open it and take only the top bag with my clothes and other stuff and go into the hotel. And later when I come back, I just put it, close it, and continue riding, if that makes sense. Do you have loop straps on the bike? I don't know what you mean by loop straps. I have straps on the saddlebag. They are on the saddlebag. They are with the saddlebag. So when I have it on the top, I can tighten it, 2 on the top and 2 on the sides. They are mounted on the saddlebag. I do not have any additional loop bags to fix the saddlebag. I do not need to carry additional straps to tighten the saddlebag on the motorcycle. Or at least my model is like this. And all saddlebags that you can find on the market, they will come with their own straps. So you don't need additional hardware to use it. Probably, but you can easily go, if you have saddlebags, normal saddlebags, they're like hard panniers, but soft luggage, they usually come with all the straps that you need to attach them one to another and hang it on the motorcycle, and then additional straps to tighten it to the frame or to the luggage rack if you've got. If you have a horseshoe like mine, it is the same. If you have a big duffel bag on the top, then you need additional straps or additional straps or loop straps, whatever you want to name it, to have it on your motorcycle, but usually not. Alright, let me tell you now a few words about how I distribute the weight on my motorcycle or on my soft luggage. I partly mentioned this. On the top of the horseshoe, or the most higher part of the saddlebag, I keep usually the lighter stuff that I've got. This is a bag this size with all of my clothes that I need when I walk around, when I'm not riding a motorcycle. And they are usually no more than, I'll say, 2 kilograms, something like this. I have very light zip pants, a few t-shirts, and very light walking shoes. And all of this stay on the top of my saddlebag, on the passenger seat actually. And it keeps a little weight on the top, but very little. On both sides of the saddlebags or my horseshoe bag, I keep on the bottom, I keep the heaviest parts. On one side I've got like all of my tubes, tools, or not tools, like spare parts, mostly heavy part, I keep it on the bottom. On the other side, I keep my tent with all the stuff inside. On the side of the exhaust, I have a little bit less than on the side without exhaust, because this will keep the luggage equally loaded on both sides. Maybe he means the straps that Krieger used with their hook system. Maybe, yeah, if you go to one of these expensive options like Kriega or Moscow Moto, they have many different straps to attach different bags on the sides, on the top. You can connect them all. I personally do not like all of this like a Christmas tree. They might be very useful if you need something else, but I honestly prefer to have only one bag, just one bag. I don't like all of this tightened small bag here, there, another here, another there. But it's my opinion. Some people prefer to have the whole luggage separated in different compartments, but I prefer to have everything in one bag, close it, and that's it. But yeah, I understand what you mean. But these expensive bags, usually they comes with these different loops and you can connect a lot of stuff on it. I have seen bottles of water and stuff like this, and sleeping bag on the top, and tent here, tent there. Not for me, but again, everyone is different. And the next thing that I also partly discussed already is how to protect your soft luggage. And I already told you, if you think in advance every time before you stop you and park your motorcycle, you just need to think a little bit more. You need to think like a thief. If I'm thief now, will I touch this motorcycle that stay in front of this restaurant full with people? Or I'm gonna take another motorcycle over there with hard panniers but behind the corner and no one see it? And what will be the answer? Remy, just like you, I got Yamaha panniers and top box when I bought my Super Tenere. I used them on 17,000 kilometers trip, never again. Okay, thanks for sharing your experience. If you tell me why, all the locks fell out on the grave roads in Ukraine. In the cities I got stuck in traffic because they are so wide. Have used soft bags ever since, sold them for 500 euros. Well done. You're a perfect example for what you shouldn't do. You remind me about situation, and what I don't know. A few years ago, I was coming back from Netherlands, Holland. Now it's Netherlands, and I was on hurry to go from Netherlands to Berlin, and I was on the highway riding my old Tenere, and I was riding with 110, maximum 20, because I cannot ride it any faster. And then a number of GS riders went around me with probably like 160. Like this. They were heavy loaded with hard panniers, all the stuff, and like this, and probably said, oh, what an idiot with this small Tenere. Fair enough, they disappear, but after a few kilometers, we went to really bad traffic. And the traffic, believe it or not, was like almost like 20 kilometers. And guess what happened? All of these guys stayed behind the traffic. And I went all the way to, and I reached Berlin faster. So hard panniers, forget about it. But yes, for the ease of travel, I usually use my hard panniers. The reason is that my motorcycle have a petrol tank under the pillion seat. It will be painful to take out every time you need a petrol. Take it off every time you need petrol. Depend on the soft luggage. Yes, you might need to remove it every time when you have to put petrol. Fair enough, whatever works for you. I never really liked this idea of petrol tanks under the seat. I've got a video on this topic, but we might discuss this in another live stream. What is better, to have petrol tank on the standard position or under the seat? I have a lot of things to tell you on these matters, but it will be a topic for another stream. New Zealand. GRHM New Zealand, I guess it's New Zealand. I have ordered small saddle bags from a Scottish company called Lomo. They are inexpensive, but postage was high. The bags are waterproof. I have fitted panniers frames as the GS has a high exhaust. Whatever works for you. Just find a solution, use it, and when you don't pay that much, you can avoid some mistakes. If you don't like it, you can sell it. You can even just leave it at home or give it to someone. But when you pay an expensive hard panniers, like it or not, you're gonna use it because you already pay that stuff. And even if you need another, if you know that you're gonna have another trip or with a lot of dirt roads, you're still connected to your panniers because you already have it. You already paid that money and you have to use it one way or another, if you understand what I mean. But yeah, thanks for sharing. Graham from New Zealand. Wonderful country you have. I really enjoyed New Zealand. Really do. Wonderful country. I was charged for overspeeding, 20 kilometers over speed. I was charged 180 New Zealand dollars. Very, very expensive fine, but wonderful country. I saw it in the winter. I really like to see it in the summer once again. When? I don't know. Whatever I've got this chance, I'll do it with pleasure. Wonderful country. Graham. Are you the Graham that I met in New Zealand? Ilkut, Matthias, if you buy the right bag, you can deassemble with just 2 latches. Exactly. If you have the right bag, you can move it very easy and have your petrol. For example, my tank bag stay on the top of the petrol. So every time when I need to fill petrol, I have to just unlock 2 latches, move it on the side, have petrol, and then lock it again. Yeah, it is not like to do it straight away, but it's not a big deal and you can find easy solution. You didn't meet me. Okay. I met another Graham. Wonderful guy. He has a 250cc sport bike for racing. Wonderful, wonderful person. I spent two nights in his house and we rode around. Yeah, many nice people everywhere around the world. Anyway, who knows, I might meet you one day. The world is not that not that big. Remy, here in Norway, you know, okay, no, now you get 970 euros fine if you get over 21 kilometers speed limit. Ooh, I know your country is terrible for this. You have very high standards, but for people like me coming from East Europe, this is just terribly expensive there, terribly. But it is what it is. The situation in New Zealand, I was approaching a small town. It was not even like a town, like one street with 2-3 houses. And I saw a police car on the opposite side of the traffic. And once we came very close one next to another, the policeman just opened the window and he just like, pull over. And I stopped and he came and he was very polite, very nice man. And he has a camera on the dashboard and just got me even that I was coming ahead of him. And he said, again, very polite, good afternoon, how are you? Do you have any specific reason to ride faster? I said, well, I didn't know that I was faster. And he said, yeah, you have 20 kilometers more than speed limit, 50, you're riding with 70. I said, well, I'm really sorry about it. It's my mistake. And he said, unfortunately, I have to charge you. I said, okay, how much does it cost? And he said, good question. Open a big tablet, pressed a few numbers and said $180. Ooh, bonus. Remy, it's also insane for me. I can believe in this, yes. And I guess it's not going to be anytime cheaper, but let me tell you something. The only people or the only nation that I've seen during my trips that is happy with their government and the policy that they've got their country are people from Norway. I met a few people that were so happy with everything they've got. The politicians, the government, the benefits, the money from oil, everything. Only in Norway. Anywhere around the world, everyone complains from the country, from the government, from the pensions, from the salaries, from everything, but not in Norway. So I hope that you're also happy with your country, your politicians, and your current situation. True. Okay. 1 hour and 30 minutes. I'm not gonna abuse your patience. It's still Sunday. If you have any more questions, just let me know. If not, I'm gonna end this stream here. And yeah. If you have, also, if you have any ideas about the stream for next Sunday, just let me know the topic. You can write it here now, or you can write it in the community tab, or if you can send me email even if you like, whatever works for you. But I'll try to be to give you as maximum as possible details. Yes, Ilko, thank you very much. As I said before, I even told you in Istanbul, for me now it's much better to work with a few people and to give them as maximum as possible information instead of having 50, 60 people and a lot of questions, and I don't know how it's going to work even. But yeah, I hope that I definitely have more than 4 people, channel members, many more. But it's difficult to find the right moment, to find the right people. There are some options to inform them in advance. I try to use it with this just reminders that I sent. But I still need to learn a lot about this system. It has also another options to inform the people, and then, or maybe I can start the stream and be live a little bit later. I still don't know how to use it, but anyway, it is what it is. At least many people will watch it after that and will see what we discussed here with you guys. Ilkut, have you seen my knife? It was given to me from a guy from Istanbul. Handmade. Wonderful. I like Turkish people. You're just wonderful. And I ate so much, oh man, so much food. Now I'm gonna restrict myself for at least 1 week, otherwise my motorcycle riding gear is not gonna match anymore. A lot of ekmek. Alright guys, I'm gonna end this stream here. Once again, if you have any ideas about the next Sunday stream, just let me know. We'll try to discuss this topic with as maximum as possible details. I will tell you everything I know, and we'll try to make something interesting. I plan actually another one stop probably in April, probably with the bike. Yes, probably with the bike. So I will let you know when I come. We can ride a little bit around in April, a little bit better weather. Istanbul is just quick. Today on the way back, I made it very fast, and there were no people at all. Never. Not on Istanbul, also on the border, just me. Just luck. Sunday, I don't know. All right. Have a good evening. See you next Sunday, guys. Take care. Keep riding. Keep smiling. See you next time. Ciao.